It is time for Garmin to step aside. Sunto, grab a seat, because COROS is here now, and frankly, I think they're stealing the show. Tonight, I'm going to be chatting about the COROS Vertix, the watch with mountain adventures at its core. So stick around to find out more. Hi, my name's Jack Williams and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, please consider hitting the subscribe button below. I'll be chatting about all things adventure, all things mountains, and of course, all things trail running as I embark on my journey from non-runner to ultra-marathon over the course of 100 days. I'm about a quarter of the way through this journey at the moment, and one of the key parts to this journey for me is keeping a track of everything that I'm doing. Of course, there is no better way to do that than with a state-of-the-art GPS, heart rate monitoring, life tracking watch. Now, before I get started, I want to say a massive thank you to COROS because they've sent me the watch that I'm going to be talking about today. Furthermore, I am actually an ambassador for the COROS brand. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, here comes a pretty biased review, if there ever was one, well, don't worry, a review is not what I'm doing today. I've actually been using the watch for a good few weeks now, and frankly, it would be very easy for me, ambassador or not, to do a pretty fantastic review on this all-singing and all-dancing watch. However, what I'm going to be talking about today is more the features that this watch offers and how you can make the most of them. I'll also be quickly looking at sort of how to get started with the watch when you first get one. Okay, so first off, who are COROS? Of course, we know Garmin, we know Sunto, they're the big players in this field. COROS, on the other hand, have actually only been around for a few years now. In fact, it was September of 2016 that COROS launched its first smart helmet, which got backed with little hesitation via Kickstarter. Fast forward another couple of years to 2018 and COROS released their first smart watch. Now, their main aim as a performance sports technology manufacturer, mouthful, is to produce products that help athletes perform at their best. However, I was invited to join the ambassador program not because I'm an athlete. In fact, the polar opposite. If anything, I was a couch-athlete. However, I needed help to go from non-runner to ultra-marathon runner, and COROS obviously felt that they were up for the challenge. Furthermore, that they were happy for me to join the team whilst taking on my journey to ultra-marathon runner. Okay, so the Vertix watch is a watch that does everything that you would expect it to do, or expect an activity GPS tracker to do, from tracking your activities, your training sessions, to just your daily life and your sleep. However, the Vertix packs even more punch, as it is the most durable GPS tracking watch on the planet. I can tell you that I've been using mine now for just short of a month, a good few weeks, and it looks as it does when it came out of the box in the first place. It has got a corrosion-free titanium frame as well as a sapphire-coated screen, and this diamond-like coating gives the Vertix the most resilient screen available. Now, being tough is one thing. Of course, it's lovely to have a watch that's going to stand up to some knocks and bumps. However, you've got to be able to use it, and often one of the problems that we can have with any electronic device when we're out in the mountains is battery life. Well, the COROS Vertix comes with, frankly, a bonkers amount of battery. Under regular use, so that is using it as a timepiece, generally tracking your sleep, notifications from your phone, stuff like that, you are going to find 45 days of use off one charge. 45 days. That's like a month and a half worth of battery off one charge. And furthermore, it only takes a couple of hours to charge the thing in the first place. Now, that's well and good, but of course we want to know what this watch is capable of doing when we're actually out in the mountains or out on a run or whatever it might be, tracking our GPS and our heart rate, etc. Now, with the standard, the full GPS functioning running, you can expect to get 60 hours of use out of this watch. If you are going to be out for longer, then altering the battery functioning mode can help you to get 150 hours worth of power out of this watch on one single charge. When my Vertix arrived in the post, it had around 50% battery on it already. I was able to stick it on my wrist, start using it immediately. And I did so. It stayed there for about a week. I've never tracked my sleep before. I've never really been a fan of sleeping with a watch on, but I've tried to do so with the Vertix and I seem to be getting on with it quite well. So the watch is working all day, it's working all night, and I was running 4 or 5 times a week. And for that first week, I popped it onto a charger for the sake of curiosity for about half an hour, a quick nip in the shower and back out, stuck it back on my wrist. And even after a week, it still had 76% battery. Can you still have more than you started with? It had 76% battery. My point is that this watch did a lot of work for a week, got charged for a negligible amount of time, and yet the battery was still virtually full. Furthermore, the Vertix ticks a few more boxes by being the only GPS watch with a 150 meter waterproof rating. If for whatever reason you needed to go 150 meters underwater with your Vertix watch on, then no problem at all, crack on, you can. And yet another box ticked is that at 54 grams, it is the lightest GPS tracking watch in its class. Now let's keep in mind that COROS have been making watches full stop for 3 years. 3 years. That's all they've been making watches for. I think if you listen really carefully, I think I can hear Garmin gulping from here. The Vertix is designed for mountain adventures. And with that in mind, it actually has the means to measure your blood oxygen level. Now combine that with your heart rate and the fact it knows what altitude you're at. If you are climbing or hiking in a high altitude environment, this watch actually has the capacity to turn around to you and say, take it easy. I suggest that AMS may be on the cards. Slow it down. Take a break. Drop back down a little bit, whatever it might take. This watch actually has the capacity to, as the COROS website suggests, be your Sherpa. Of course, when you're out mountaineering, things are going to get colder as you get higher. Now, the Vertix watch will show only a 30% depreciation in performance when it goes down to a temperature as low as minus 20 degrees C. And in extreme testing at minus 30, this watch was still able to track GPS for 21 hours. Okay, so once you've got your watch, you're obviously going to crack it out of the box. You're going to go through some initial settings, get it on your wrist or charge it, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to bore you with all that jazz. I'm going to talk about how to get started when you're going out on a run or an activity. So once you've got the watch on and you're ready to go, all you have to do is tap the digital dial. So that is on the Vertix, it is a large protruding button on the, in my case, the right-hand side of the watch that also rotates. Once you've tapped it, you're going to be presented with a menu of activities. So a list, for instance, that includes stuff such as trail running, indoor run, track run, mountain climb, bike, hike, indoor bike, pool, swim, open water, speed surfing, blah, 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 it goes on. It's a massive list of activities. So whatever it is you're into doing, there's a good chance it's going to be on the watch ready to go. Now, to the best of my knowledge, you cannot add or subtract activities from this list at the moment. However, what you can do is customize the order. So for instance, if I scroll to the bottom of the list, skiing's down there somewhere. If skiing is your primary activity, save scrolling through 23 other activities or whatever it might be, you can bung that to the top of the list so it's easy to access. Now, once you've found the activity you're looking to do, once you tap it, you're going to be presented with another little menu of options. So you've got, in the case of run, you've got start, basic interval, and settings. Pretty simple. Now, if you're ready to go for a run, you're simply logging it for Strava or whatever. Trainers are on, you're at the end of the drive, you're ready and raring to go. Just hit start. When you do, the watch is going to tell you that it's searching for both GPS and heart rate. And once it's established both of those, it will then say, okay, you're good to go, crack on. Okay, so now if you scroll down to settings, the biggest setting I think that you're going to notice, which for me is at the top of the list immediately, is your navigation setting. So if you're looking to follow a route, you can use another app. I love to use Komoot to plan my walks. You can sort of input your destination, where you are, where you're going, where you want to go, circular route, all that jazz, and it will automatically piece together a route based on the footpaths and things like that. Anyway, Komoot is an app that I'm going to do a video on in the not too distant future, so I'll get into it more then, but it's a great piece of technology if you are looking to plan routes. So using an app such as Komoot, you can plan your route and then export it to the COROS app on your phone and synchronize it to your watch. Simple as that. Once it's on your watch, from the settings menu, as I say, I'm looking at a feature here, Navi settings, navigation settings, obviously for short. I open that up and I'm presented with a menu of the routes that I've added. So I can see the little titles here, 10K, week 3's 10K, half marathon, so on and so forth, whatever I might have called them. And even a little picture preview of that route. Select it. You're going to be offered an opportunity then to start the course. Simple as that. The watch is then going to continue as it would do if you weren't following a route. So you simply tap it. It's going to measure your steps, distance, pace, heart rate, cadence, all of that jazz. It's going to do anyway. But in the menu of screens that you have whilst actually tracking an activity will include both the map and another screen that represents elevation, which is always nice if you're on a hilly run because you can see if you're nearly at the highest point and whether or not it's all downhill to the pub from there. One quick tip, if you are going to use a navigation route, I find that it loads so the whole route fits on the screen. Of course, that's pretty tiny. So what I find is that you have to actually start the route before you can then tap on the map using the digital dial, click it in and rotate it to zoom in. So 100 or 50 meters sort of scale on there. And that of course, then you're going to get a lot more detail. When you're running along, it's going to be a lot easier to see if you should be taking a turning, or in my case, if you ran straight past one. Okay, so that is really the basics, and I appreciate that is the basics of tracking a run, walk, hike. Of course, a lot of this applies from activity to activity, and also using the navigation settings. Other features worth keeping an eye on, and this is in the settings when you initially open up the particular activity. So when I hit, instead of hitting start, so I've selected run, if I go to settings and I scroll down to activity alert, I can set a distance alert, pace alert. Of course, if you're looking to stay above or below a certain pace, it's going to prompt you. Heart rate alert. So if you're looking to stay within a certain zone for the sake of training, your watch will actually alert you if you're going above or below it. I've done that before. I found it quite difficult to stay within a certain zone. So at the moment I've turned that off. And you've got nutrition alert. So that is just that. You can set a periodic timer throughout your run. For me, it's actually set to 25 minutes at the moment. And that just gives me a gentle nudge to say it may be worth taking on some calories, or in my case as well, just remember to take a drink. So that's actually quite a nice feature because sometimes it's surprising how the time doth go. So yeah, those are some of the features at least that align with the run option, and of course things like trail running and hiking and things like that. So I hope that goes some way to at least helping you step out onto your first run or whatever it might be with the COROS watch. So I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into what this watch, the Vertix, is capable of doing, who COROS are, where they've come from, and I can tell you from an ambassador's perspective that they are moving in a very positive and exciting direction. So if you've enjoyed this video, please, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a quick thumbs up, and of course don't forget to hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.